an urgent crisis is unfolding. Child Protective Services, CPS, an institution designed to safeguard our most vulnerable, has in many cases betrayed its noble mission. Too often, families are torn apart not by neglect or abuse, but by systemic failures and corruption. We can no longer stand idly by as these injustices continue. We are here to give a voice to those who have been isolated, to shine a light on the corruption, and to rally our fellow citizens in this critical fight for justice. Every day, countless families are caught in a web of bureaucracy and abuse of power, their lives disrupted and their bonds shattered. Children, who should be nurtured and protected, are instead placed in situations that can be just as, if not more, harmful than the circumstances from which they were taken. Parents, often bewildered and powerless, face insurmountable odds as they fight to reunite with their children. This is not the America we believe in. We cannot allow these injustices to persist. Our mission is to educate, to inform, and to inspire action. We promise to bring you daily updates on CPS, exposing the truth and fighting for reform. We must remember that the future of our nation depends on the strength and unity of our families. By standing together, we can hold CPS accountable and ensure that it fulfills its true purpose, protecting children and preserving families. This is a fight we must not and will not lose. We are committed to saving our families and securing a brighter future for all. The road ahead is challenging, but with your support, we can make a difference. Together, we will bring hope to those who have lost it and ensure that justice prevails. Let us unite with unwavering resolve and a sense of patriotic duty to safeguard the integrity of our families and the future of our nation.
Hey guys, y'all are watching Turn the Page with Kim Page. I am your host, Kim Page. Tonight we are going to be talking with Amy Walmsley. She and I have a parent in Alabama who I have been helping deal with Child Protective Services, DHR as they're known in Alabama. They have knocked on a parent's door since several times since December 13th. And this parent would like to tell her story. However, she is afraid of anything that CPS may do in her story being told. So Amy is going to stand in as the parent. So we will go ahead and bring Amy on tonight. Hey, Amy.
Hey, Kim.
Nice handlebars. Pippi
My hair,
Longstocking.
my hair wasn't brushed today, yesterday, the other day, so this is what I've been doing. And it's
Pippi
not even staying
Longstocking.
up. I have bobby pins all in it because it won't stay together.
Oh my goodness. So, Amy, as I was telling everybody, there's a parent in Alabama that I have been helping since December.
Right.
Middle of December, DHR has knocked on her door, and she's a little worried about DHR finding out her identity, but she wants her story told. So you have had a chance to talk to her. I know her story backwards and forwards. Right. You've had a chance to talk to her. So we're going to go ahead and pretend that you're her for the evening. So go ahead and tell us what you have found out about this story.
Firstly, not only have they shown up at her door multiple times, they've texted her. They've emailed her. Sorry, my dogs were barking outside. They've texted her. They've emailed her. They've called her and left multiple voice messages. They're just absolutely determined that they absolutely want to bother her.
And what is the alleged reason for their attempting to disrupt this mother and her children's lives?
She has 4 really young children, and she went to take them to the doctor in December. And the call was that her Her oldest child is autistic. The call was that he had a dirty face and that the children were wearing pajamas to the doctor's office.
So now CPS investigates dirty faces.
Apparently,
Is that to your knowledge, is that a criminal act in the state of Alabama?
no, and they should probably check on me after lunch if that's the case.
I have a couple of friends that they might need to check on them as well. My daughter always says that I need a bib. She crochets and said she was going to make me one.
On another note,
So I understand that.
I have marker on my hand where my boss's daughter drew on me the other day when we were at a work event. And it was Saturday. So I woke up yesterday and I flipped the mirror in my car when I was sitting at a red light in town. And I had this, it's a little smiley face. I had this printed onto my face and I went into town like that yesterday. So they should have checked on me yesterday. I had a dirty face yesterday.
That sounds about like you, Amy. That sounds like something you would do. So this mother took her children to the doctor. The reason that she took her children to the doctor, it wasn't, was her children have some sort of broken arm or
no,
they didn't have,
it was a checkup.
Ebola or
no,
just a checkup, and they call CPS on her for a dirty face. So Amy, I'm not sure if you had a chance to watch the show on Friday, but we had Tiffany Davis on. She's one of the parents in Alabama. She got her children back. She got her children back, and she said that she actually has a friend who is a caseworker, and the caseworker informed her that Alabama Child Protective Services caseworkers get $5,000 for each child whose parents' rights are terminated.
Correct. And this mother has 4 young children, so that would be $20,000. And one of her children is autistic and has a health condition, and one of the others also has a health condition. So all of these people involved would get extra money because at least 2 of these siblings have diagnosis. And I've seen pictures of the children, and one of them is super blonde and 2 of them are dirty blonde. And when we did a poll in our Alabama group, 67% of the children that have been removed are blonde-haired and blue-eyed. So not only would they get a sibling set, they'd get a sibling set that had diagnosis, and 3 of the 4 are blonde.
And Amy, you said there's 4 children. So what's the likelihood that these children are going to remain together?
Ridiculously unlikely.
If CPS,
very unlikely.
Unlikely. In Alabama, it is normal that no more than 2 children are taken in by fosters.
Correct.
At one time. So unless one of the, if there's a third child, if you have a like with my situation, my daughter was 17 and my boys were 4 and 5. They could have put them all in the same home because my daughter was old enough to take care of her brothers.
Right. Or like my children.
Other than a situation.
My boys were 2 and 4 when they put my baby girl with them. And I know that they don't want my older boy, but they're going to claim and adopt all 3 of them so they can get the sibling set credit and then, rehome my oldest.
And from you.
Oh, and on that note, I found out last night they have another child in their home. Other than the children that we knew that they had, we found out that they have yet another child in their home as well.
So, let's get back to Mom real quick. What has been done so far to keep DHR from bothering her?
She hasn't answered the door, hasn't responded to their calls and stuff, and she has sent a cease and desist letter.
And
to the workers, specifically to the supervisor and to the department.
And what has been that response to the cease and desist letter?
I'm assuming that they don't understand that it exists because they've contacted her after the fact.
Wasn't there
Unless
an
I'm
email that they
misunderstanding
are
that part.
Wasn't there an email or a text message where they actually contacted her and said that they wanted to discuss her cease and desist?
Mm-hmm. And that they wanted to speak to her attorney. Well, I'm sorry. The average person, especially in Alabama, doesn't just, have an attorney on retainer for a random Tuesday.
The average income in Alabama is about $30,000 for median income. So if you're looking about $30,000 a year as your income, and the average rent in Alabama is about $800 a month for a one bedroom. So if you're looking at $800 a month, making only $30,000 a year, you can't really afford to get an attorney. So these parents are put in situations where they're forced to find people like you and I to help them.
I'm listening. I just walked away.
So she has sent the cease and desist. How many times, to your knowledge, have they come back to her home or made contact with her since the cease and desist was sent?
If I looked at the dates correctly, probably at least 2, if not 3.
And when is the last time that they came out, to your understanding?
About 10 days ago.
About 10 days ago. So usually what happens is when CPS opens a case, they are supposed to investigate it within the first 30 days of the call. If they do not get right. So if they do not get a response from the parent, they're technically supposed to close the case. Now, with her situation, because they came to her home in the middle of December, and because because there were several holidays, Christmas and New Year's, they ended up coming back out. The 30 days kind of extended a little bit because they didn't count holidays, and it didn't seem that they counted weekends at all. So
the issue with that is their policy says 30 days. It does not say excluding holidays, excluding weekends. It means 30 calendar days. So that last time they came out was after the 30
days. It says 30 days. Right. So
they came out after the fact of the 30 days.
Right. So if you see any of your court documentation or your CPS documentation and it says 30 days, 15 days, 90 days, 45 days, unless it says the word calendar days or business days, it automatically means calendar days. If it says business days, that is not a holiday or a weekend. So that means that let's say that her case was opened on December 7th. That means January 7th was the last day they were legally allowed to knock on her door. So at this particular junction,
unless somebody has made a second report because their first one didn't work.
Well, the second report also has to be for something different than the first report was. CPS, every state that I've seen, the law says that if they have investigated a report and another one comes in making the same allegations, the first investigation has to cover the next. So if you had somebody call CPS on you saying that you were beating your kids in the head with flip-flops, then you They came out and investigated, and they said that was BS. Or you said it was BS. You wouldn't cooperate, whatever. They closed the case in 30 days. Then, 3 weeks later, they get another call. Amy's beating her kids in the head with flip-flops. We've already looked into that. Sorry. They're not legally allowed to come back out again. So if CPS comes to your home, if they ask to, they say we got a call, what have you, ask them what the allegations are. If you answer the door for some reason, if you happen to answer the door for some reason, you ask them what the allegations are. If they do not want to tell you the allegations, you tell them that you get off my property. If you're not going to tell me why you're here to investigate, what you're investigating, you are not welcome on my property. Let them tell you at least what they're there to investigate for, because if you do let them tell you this, then if they come back out again for the same thing, you can actually get them for violations of their own policies by investigating the same kind of complaint. So, Amy, tell me, what else do you know about this mother as far as her being a mom? What kind of mother is she?
At this point, she's a very concerned and afraid one because they've harassed her and she's scared to be in her own home.
And hasn't she taken to the extreme of actually taking her children to a family member's house?
Yes.
During CPS business hours so that she's not a basket case while her children are there?
Correct. Which means that she's losing time with her young children and they're losing time with their mother.
Yes. Actually, I believe one of her children had a birthday recently. And because of CPS knocking on her door for bullshit reasons, she didn't get to spend her child's birthday with them.
Yep.
How many birthdays have you and I missed with our children?
I have missed 7 with my oldest. Technically 2 with my second oldest, but 2 of those other ones he was in care, but I did get to celebrate with him. With my almost 4-year-old, I have missed 2 of his, and I have missed both of my youngest birthday, like her first, and I'm about to miss her second.
I did not get to celebrate but one of my children's birthday while they were in care on the actual birth. I was able to celebrate.
Right. And none of the times that we celebrated when they were in care were on their actual birthday.
No, it was, I got one visit happened to fall on my youngest son's birthday. I actually had, this was I thought was quite ridiculously comical. My youngest son, his birthday was on a Saturday. I had visits on Tuesdays. I did not do anything for his birthday the Tuesday before our visit. I wanted to do it closer to his birthday because I would be seeing him 3 days after his birthday. So instead of doing it 4 days before, I wanted to do something 3 days after. The CPS worker made certain to note that I did nothing for my son's birthday 4 days before his birthday, that I didn't even acknowledge that his birthday was coming up, and that my son looked extreme because I did not acknowledge that his birthday was coming up. Now, when I actually went and brought stuff for his birthday, right on the visit after his birthday, CPS worker noted mom brought cupcakes and balloons for his birthday. That was it. One sentence. She went into a big long paragraph about how I didn't bring anything before his birthday, but I got one sentence. I think it was 8 words about what I actually did for his birthday.
When we celebrated, my older son, his birthday is December 13th. We celebrated at the end of November. That way, we wouldn't have to celebrate his birthday and Christmas the same visit. Mm-hmm. And he didn't even know his birthday was coming up.
Wow.
And guess what? We didn't get to do a visit in December because the visitation places were closed. And then at the beginning of this month, the weather up here limited us from being able to go down there where the visits are. So we're getting to do Christmas Wednesday, the 29th of January.
Wow. Does he realize that Christmas happened? I'm sure he did. He probably had a bunch of stuff.
I'd assume so.
A bunch of churches that bribed CPS into, getting donations from people. Or you were bribed by CPS getting donations for people. Parents aren't allowed to give their children gifts, but CPS will have churches and other local charities get gifts for the children, claiming, oh, these poor kids get nothing. These poor kids get nothing. My kids have laptops, have tablets, have so much stuff waiting for them. CPS would not allow me to give any of it to them. Not a single bit of it. Every single time I tried to send something with my kids, whether it was clothing, whether it was gifts, I was told it was not allowed to be sent, that the fosters refused to let me send anything to them. I gave
right. I'll take
of me, and the fosters would not let them have it.
I take stuff like the birthday presents or this or that to the visits, and then I have to take it back home with me. When we celebrated my 6-year-old's birthday at the end of November, he threw a shit fit and wouldn't let go of 2 of his things, wouldn't leave, this and that. So they finally were like, fine, he can bring it, but I'm pretty sure they threw it away. Like I had to go. I went back to the store and rebought one of his birthday gifts, so there's one here at the house. He has this. It's an iPad Pro. It originally, they allowed him to have it, and then all of a sudden decided one day he couldn't have it. And I didn't know he wasn't doing our video calls. This is when they were still doing those. And he saw that I had his old green one in my hand because he calls them the blue iPad and the green iPad. The old one, like the screen shattered, all of that. And he said, Mama, is that my green iPad? And I said, buddy, you have your blue one. He said, I don't have my blue one. They took it. I said, what do you mean they took it? And they'd taken it for months. And for months, we didn't even know where it was. And lo and behold, apparently it was sitting at the DHR office. The same office that can't keep up with paperwork, apparently had my $1,000 device.
Well, I mean, they can't keep up with, they can't keep up with children. What the hell do they care about a $1,000 tablet?
Right. And I said something online about the fact that, first of all, this is theft of property because this belongs to my son, not to anybody else. Paired with the fact of that is emotional and psychological abuse to my kid because A, he knows it's his, and B, it was his safety item. And you know what the foster mom did instead? She posted a picture of one of those like $89 Amazon Kid Fire tablets that don't even work worth a damn, and was like, look what we got our foster son since we're, so emotionally abusive to him. That is nothing compared to what this is. You can't download anything on that. You can't delete nothing off of that. All of his schoolwork's on here, all of that. This just sits dead at my house.
So I had a parent that I helped a couple of years back, and she would constantly send things that were extremely expensive to the foster home. And at one point, so she ended up getting her son back, and she lost him again. About 6 weeks after she got him back, she lost him again because once the case was closed, DHR insisted on continuing to maintain contact for 6 months. And as I mentioned to Tiffany on Friday, the reason that DHR CPS does this is because the reports do not have to be made by me or you or Bob or Sam or a doctor.
They just anonymously report it, and it's another worker reporting it.
Will actually make the report, and they will make the report that something else is going on. And what will happen is because CPS did not close the case, then they would say, okay, so since our case is still open with you, we get to take your child again, even though the court case has been closed and your child has been ordered to be returned. Parents, you are not required at all to cooperate with them with this last 6 months of stuff. You do not in any way, shape, form, or fashion have to let them back in your home. When your court case is done, you tell them to fuck off. But this parent, when her child was taken again after 6 weeks of being with her, he has a medical condition where his skin will just blister out of nowhere. And they have to rub ointment on his skin several times a day. These are horrible blisters. It's a horrible condition. And one of the other things that he has to do is he has to take long baths. And so mom bought a TV to put in his bathroom since he has to
sit there so
be in the
long.
bathtub. Yeah. So when he was given back, the Fosters all of a sudden couldn't find the TV. They couldn't find the iPad. They couldn't find the iPad. They couldn't find any of these things. So what we recommend is if you are going to send something with your child that is valuable, make sure that you take a photograph of the ID, the serial number. You take a photograph of a receipt with with the serial number, with the actual
and report
item
that
itself.
shit stolen if you don't get it back.
Right, yes. But you make sure that when you give this stuff to the Fosters or you give this stuff to take with your child home, that you have somebody sign something acknowledging they received it. And if it is not gotten back, especially if it's an Apple product, you have the Find My Device feature on there. Go ahead and use that and report it stolen. It can be locked down. And you can report it stolen. You can report it to the police that it has been stolen. But if your children do get taken, don't send anything with them that you're okay with never getting back. See, Brooke, that's not legal. That's not legal. That is your phone. That is not theirs. And that's actually tampering with somebody else's stuff. That is criminal. I believe that would be a fall under federal crimes because the cell phone company, I guarantee you, is not located in your state. And I guarantee you the app that was installed on your phone was not created by somebody in your state. So that means that the phone itself, everything related to the phone, that falls under federal. And so that's a federal crime.
To add to what Brooke said, we don't use my son's device because we think they did something like that to it. And the only contact my son had in this device was my phone number. And like, you know how kids add contacts and it'll be like XZFB3. There's something like that in it. And there's another contact in it that's listed as daddy. And I was like, I don't think I had my son's dad's number. And I don't think I would have put it in here if I did at the time. I went and looked up the number. It's the foster dad's number.
Wow. Yep. They frequently have these children call the Fosters mommy or daddy.
When I stopped,
and then they'll jerk them out of the foster home and put them with somebody else and say, this is your third new mommy and daddy.
Right. And before I got the iPad back, I would still try to send messages to it and they wouldn't go through. So they have my phone blocked on this, and these are both on my phone bill account. But, I was blocked from my own device.
So I know that Verizon has a thing that you can actually go in under your actual account and determine who's blocked and who's not and unblock and block stuff.
Right.
I'm not sure if it unblocks on the actual phone itself or it just blocks from the account itself being able to or that particular phone number being able to call it.
Right.
But if
And we
you
had
have
Verizon at the
Verizon,
time, but we have T-Mobile now.
check into that, because that's, if anybody has Verizon, check into that. I know that I have a friend of mine that her child has a phone, but he's too young to really have all access to it. So she has it through Verizon, and she has just a certain couple of numbers that he's allowed to call.
Right.
And then he has a couple of different apps that he's allowed to have on it, and that's it, because he's only 6. He needs a phone in an emergency situation, but he doesn't need to have access to everything. So Amy, have you seen the stuff that I posted earlier?
Mm-mm. But let me go back to the parent that we're discussing. She had some other things to add. Her child's birthday, who it was a couple of days, like in the last week or two, it was her youngest that turned 1. She got to see her baby on the baby's birthday, but she didn't get to wake up to her baby because her baby was at a family member's house to, keep them safe. And she also mentioned that they've caused her enough PTSD that she's terrified to take her autistic child to his therapies. And she said that her son absolutely loves his therapist, and how is she supposed to tell her toddler that they're going to have to switch therapists, even though it was a different doctor that reported them?
She's going to have to be able to protect her children. She's going to have to
traumatize her autistic child.
Yeah. But not just that. She's going to have to uproot them from their doctor, but all their doctors. She's going to have to uproot them from their home. She's going to have to basically, put these children through hell because some asshole decided he wanted to call CPS for bullshit.
Me and her are pretty sure it wasn't the doctor themselves. We think it was the nurse. Okay. She said the nurse was acting funny, but the doctor wasn't.
Huh.
And I guarantee you, in my opinion, that means either the nurse doesn't understand how DHR works and the nurse thinks that they're holier art thou, or alternatively, the nurse or someone the nurse knows wants a little sibling group of children that are itty bitties. Oh, by the way, this is Madison County, which is North Alabama, where a lot of people have that space money and have the money to
Space and Rocket Center. Yep.
Issues.
Yep. Space and Rocket Center and the Army base that's up there and up near Huntsville. So there was an article written today.
Also, another thing she added, not only is this just them being uprooted from their house, all 4 of her children have lived there since they were born. This is the only home any of her children have known. It's not like they moved in a year or 2 ago and the older kids have lived somewhere else. This is the only place they've ever lived.
She actually just messaged me, said she wants everybody to know her son, who has autism, absolutely loves his therapist.
Yep.
She said, how am I supposed to explain to him why we have to switch therapists now, even though it was his pediatrician who reported us? This case has made us move, but we can't move till next month. This has been our home for 4 years.
That's exactly what
4 years. This is ridiculous. So I read an article earlier today.
Then if they keep harassing her, then it's, well, you moved. Oh my God, y'all must be unstable because you moved. They will force people to move, like the family in the Oxford area that we've been discussing and helping. They're having them move to this family member and that family member and the other family member so they can claim, oh, well, you're unstable. You keep moving around. Well, you keep harassing me. The fuck you think I'm supposed to do?
They made me give up everything that I had and go into a domestic violence shelter. and there was no domestic violence that was relevant. My ex-husband and I had been split up or been divorced for 2 years, or excuse me, a year by that time, and been split for 3 by that time. But they wanted me to go to a domestic violence shelter, and why? I have no man in my life or anybody in my life that's abusing me.
Because that makes sense.
Doesn't it? So I read an article earlier today. This is a article that was on Newsbreak. It's a friend of mine. Federal funds for family welfare under scrutiny as allegation of fraud and abuse surface.
Imagine that.
Interesting. In a letter addressed to prominent figures, including Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy, a family advocate has raised alarm over the misuse of federal funds intended for family welfare, specifically highlighting the exploitation of children and families by state agencies, courts, and service providers. The letter, which outlines systemic problems in the allocation and use of these funds, calls for urgent reform to protect families from what it describes as widespread abuse and fraud. Each year, the federal government allocates billions of taxpayer money to states with the goal of supporting family welfare programs. The funds are designed as a social safety net, ensuring that vulnerable families have the assistance they need. However, the letter claims that in many cases, this money is being misused by state agencies and the judicial system to remove children from their homes under questionable circumstances. The letter alleges that these agencies, motivated by the financial benefit of federal funding, resort to unlawful and deceptive tactics, often violating the fundamental rights of families. Now, in addition to that, there was also a guy on Facebook named Jordan Clark who also has been talking about something similar. Let's see if I can. Vinny, real quick, let you put this up for me, Vinny. Let's see if I can find you.
Oh, another thing that mom said, remember how I mentioned 2 of her children also have a genetic condition?
Yep.
They've seen the same genetic doctor since they were born, which is already located 2 hours from their house, because anyone closer was making the issue worse and not helping the issue. Now she's forced to find another specialist doctor that's going to be damn near impossible to find in the state of Alabama to continue her children's care. And this is not care that she can just, stop taking them to. They will die without it.
Vinny, check the group chat. I can't get it to you directly, but if you'll get that one that I just sent you. All right. What kind of question do you have?
As long as y'all are quiet, it's fine. Whatever floats your boat. Put them up then.
So the gentleman that wrote that article is a friend of mine. I'm seeing what I can do about getting him on the show so that we can talk to him a little bit more about what's going on with this this revelation. The world is about to see what CPS is actually doing.
Oh, also related but unrelated. It's unrelated because it's Oklahoma. But there is a state Hold on. Our dogs are coming inside from their evening jaunt in the yard and they're unruly. There's an Oklahoma state representative, Gabe Woolley, who has put in a bill to the House in Oklahoma. Nike, please. No, ma'am. That is my dinner. Go. Get in your crate. No, ma'am. Night. You can get out of your crate in a little bit. Apologies.
Yeah, actually, we actually have somebody working on getting Gabe on one of the shows.
Right. I know we discussed that the other day, but Gabe introduced a House bill. It's called House Bill 1100 to hold Oklahoma DHS, which is CPS, accountable and end the legalized kidnapping of children. House Bill 1100 ensures the government is not above the law and requires concrete evidence of a crime or misconduct before the department can keep a child away from their family. And the what happens to them if they hold these children is they get kidnapping charges. And granted, this is an Oklahoma bill, and he doesn't work in a position where he can introduce a federal bill. But if you're in Oklahoma, definitely, call people to vote for this bill. And if you're not in Oklahoma, find someone in your state where that can introduce that bill or a similar bill in your state. And perhaps we can get it to someone who can introduce it federally.
All right, guys, Vinny said he's having a little bit of an issue playing this video, so I'm going to pull it up and play it on my phone. And it's not necessarily that, necessarily that y'all actually see the person, but really what he's saying. So let me pull this up here.
And their veterans and stuff like that, right? Okay, good. Because here, this is Liz Crokin's post, also from Forbes. It looks like Save the Children Foundation, a foundation, I believe, in Guatemala. Looks like they found $534 million of tax-paying money, tax-paying money, alone for the year of 2023. And guess what? It's under investigation for sex trafficking children. Wait till you find out about every organization similar to this. They're all about the same. Especially wait till you find out about CPS. Yeah, that one can get you. That one goes hard a little bit. But yeah, you decide whether you want your taxpaying dollars to go to that or something more beneficial. But either way, I mean, by now y'all really didn't think you're tax.
So this guy's name is Jordan Clark. Let's see if I can. Cute little guy. He's got a lot of knowledge, and he brought this up about Save the Children charity has been raided by the authorities under an investigation for child trafficking and received $500 taxpayer money in the fiscal year of 2023. $534 million in 1 year to traffic children.
Hold on, pause 2 seconds. I want to make sure I'm not understanding this backwards. The organization Save the Children was just raided for trafficking children? Is that what I'm understanding?
Yes. I'll send you the link, Amy.
Interesting. Okay.
That is exactly what you're understanding. Okay, so your question about how can they open a divorce case when you don't have a legal marriage? Kim Page on Facebook. Let me ask you a couple extra questions. I can see if I can answer that for you. There's a couple of different things I need to know before I can quite get there with that answer. But yeah, so that's what's going on right now is Save the Children.
The parent that we were discussing and talking about earlier, they wanted to stress not only was this, traumatizing to everyone, this is extremely stressful and traumatizing to her autistic child, that other people are doing all of this and gonna, flip his world upside down. And autistic children don't do change.
They don't. Not at all. She said that her children have a rare genetic condition. And in Alabama, finding a pediatric geneticist is not easy. It's not easy at all.
There's probably 3 in the whole state.
There's only a few pediatric geneticists, and most of them are associated with the world's largest supplier of children into CPS, Children's Hospital. So yeah.
Paired with the fact of the wait lists are over a year long.
Okay, so mom just said that the doctor said that they will not let her have her children's records without paying for it.
She mentioned earlier she didn't tell them that she was going to a new doctor.
Mhm.
She just asked and said she wanted her children's records. And the doctor's office's response to her was, you can tell the new office to request them or you can pay for them.
Yep.
And she
So
has 4 children.
that's what they're going to try to do is force her to go either disclose the new doctor that she's going to be using so that they can end up getting her
Talk behind her back and set shit up.
they can find out who the next doctor is, and whenever they do that, they're going to talk to the next doctor and be like, hey, this person, we had to call CPS on them. So they're intentionally trying,
which could also get you denied from the clinic.
Yeah.
Either that means the new clinic's going to call on them or deny care to them.
Yeah. Yep. That's the truth. And
and if her children with the conditions they have don't get care, then she can be, charged with medical neglect.
Correct. It's ridiculous the things that CPS will go to, the extents that they'll go to be able to get their hand on some children. And I've seen these children. She sends me pictures all the time, and these are the most beautiful babies. They are so pretty. And I'm sorry, but this mama, there is no way in hell this mama is anything but a good mama. I see the way that she dotes on these babies, and there's just no way that she's anything but a good mama.
Did you see the background she does with their pictures, like photography background?
Yeah, yep. She said that she's got
she has some wonderful background.
I think she said that she's got a friend of hers that helps her with those because a friend of hers is a photographer.
I think she's the photographer, actually. Unless I'm misunderstanding.
No, I think she was saying that she her friend was the photographer and she helps her with some of her stuff.
She just sent in, I mean, I knew it was very important, like very specific. Her children can't eat food unless they get their medication from this doctor.
Yeah.
They literally cannot eat without their medication.
So CPS and this doctor is trying to put her in a position to where she either lives in terror or she allows her children to be abused. And one of the things
she clarified she is the photographer.
Hold on one second.
And I would also like to point out, in regards to children who have medical issues in Alabama DHR, my children have a variety of issues that have not been taken care of. My youngest has a genetic condition and is almost 2, and they've had her since she was 6 weeks old. They have not taken her to further genetic testing. They have not done any of their therapies, none of that. There was a child that was removed a few years ago who was a toddler, and she had ridiculously horrible diabetes. And the mama had done nothing wrong. But she was like, okay, if you absolutely have to take my baby, here's her medicine. Here's when she goes to her next appointment with the diabetes specialist. It's next week. She absolutely can't miss this. She can't miss any of her medicine. That baby was dead in less than 2 months. CPS canceled her appointment. Canceled everything else. When they got my boys in care, one of my boys needed a follow-up MRI for one of his conditions. They tried to cancel his MRI, and my other son was blind at the time due to a visual delay. They tried to cancel his eye appointment. And then when I demanded that they absolutely not cancel this, they were like, and I was like, their appointments are in Birmingham, and the kids are in Mobile. They were like, well, you need to reschedule them for down here. We don't have the time or the resources to take them kids to Birmingham. Well, that's funny. I lived hours from Birmingham and still had the resources and, was deciding which bill to pay and what to do in what order to get my children to all of their appointments and missed heck of work. But the foster parents or these CPS workers can't be bothered to do any of that. But they can take better care.
You're right.
So I don't believe her children would do very well in care. Because they neglect health.
Oh, I know. Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. So one of the things that she and I have discussed is the fact that every time somebody knocks on the door, she loses it. She messaged me a couple of weeks ago. It was about midnight, and somebody knocked on the door. I think it was Friday night. Somebody knocked on the door. It was a pizza guy. Came to the wrong house. And she messaged me and said that she was freaking out. She was having panic attacks, classic signs of PTSD, because DHR knocking on her door, trying to get her kids. And then she's having to take her children to her family member's house. And during that time, she's just having so many emotions, and it's difficult for her to deal with it. It's become a psychological trauma to her. So, Amy,
also,
as I do on every show,
hold on a second.
Talk about.
Hold on a second before we.
I want to talk about
okay.
What is done, what you do to help deal with the what you do to help deal with the psychological bullshit that you have to deal with, the hating yourself and wanting to kill yourself, or the depression, whatever you go through emotionally. What kind of things do you do to help deal with those things?
Give me 2 seconds and I'll bring it here.
Okay. So one of the things that I do is I'm very big into holistic medicine, herbals, not weed. I'm not saying that that's bad, but it's not available in every state. This is actually something that has been life-saving for me. You can get it at Walmart. You can get it at GNC, Amazon. It has been absolutely life-saving for me. I make a point of scheduling events out that I need to be participating in. Like I will go and do sign up to do bring a meal to the warming center. I have a lot of elderly people in my building that are on a very fixed income, and they don't get a whole lot of good meals, warm meals. So I will make plans to provide a meal for them. I help parents. For me, honestly, the biggest thing is focusing on anything and everything other than my case. Right. Keeps me sane. But I see Amy keeps
I
sane
work by and help other parents, and this is our 5th foster kitty for this year, and this is Sally.
Oh wow.
We might keep her, but she's currently still a foster. We foster animals like Sally, who really wants down right now, so Sally will be walking through the kitchen. And I help at the animal food pantry and all of that. And the mom who we've been discussing, she mentioned that her children's medicine, she has to get it through the health department with a prescription from a doctor. Or alternatively, they can spend thousands of dollars a month to get it straight from the provider who makes the medication. She doesn't have one child who needs this medication. She has 2 children that need this medication, literally to live. And now they don't know how they're even going to get these babies medication.
And now she's actually in need of therapy herself. So she's going to have to figure out a way to be able to, get to a therapist that can help her. And, hopefully when she gets her situation, she's got some changes that are coming up in the next month or so. Hopefully when that occurs, she will be able to be closer to one of the therapists that very much recommend, who is very much against DHR, will not judge, and will do everything that they can to help the parents. So, Amy, I think we have another show coming up in just a minute. Vinny has given us the time to shut up, ladies. So,
Yeah.
you got any last words for anybody before we jump off?
Basically just continuing to post publicly, or we talk on the phone in the middle of the store on speaker all the time. Just let people find out what's actually happening, and the more people know, the more can be done about it.
On that note, on that point, one of the things that I've noticed is if I will tell people my story, but I do not tell them it's my story, I tell them it's my friend's story, people are so appalled to hear what's happened. When I tell them that I'm an advocate and that I help parents get their kids back, and this was the story that got me started in this, they want to know more. Yep. They don't want to know more if I say this happened to me, but they want to know more if I tell them this happened to my friend. So get out there and tell everybody your friend's story, your best friend's story. This happened to her. This happened to him. And you decided to do some investigation because this parent's an amazing parent, and why in the hell would they come after that parent? And then you found out all these horrible things and decided that that was not something that you were okay with. So that's what I do to expose them, other than this, obviously. So just, whatever you do, remember that your kids are going to need you to tell them the truth. I don't want to be telling them the truth. Vinny doesn't. Amy doesn't. None of these parents, none of the guys on our team, we don't want to tell your kids your story. We want you to be there to tell your kids' story. So find somebody to talk to if you feel like you can't make it. Get on, some herbal supplements, GABA, St. John's wort, ashwagandha. If weed's legal in your state, use weed. A lot of people find success in that. But don't give up. Whatever you do, don't give up. Take it 1 minute at a time, 1 day at a time, 1 hour at a time, however you need to take it. Just keep going. Please don't make one of us have to be the ones to tell your story. And on that note, you have watched Turn the Page with Kim Page. See you next time.
Imagine being a child who has been torn away from their security blanket, their parents, the ones who stopped the boogeyman from terrorizing the nights and curing their boo-boos when they scrape their knees. Now just imagine how they must feel when the CPS meant to protect them tears them away from their supposed abusers and places them with strangers who have zero comforting skills. They need to be calm. They are confused, lost, panicked, and needing their parents, but CPS took them away for the purpose of saving them. The kids don't even know why, and they are told that the parents they attach to no longer want them. What do you think that does? Do you think that this is how protecting children is supposed to look? Abolish CPS.